Ladies and gentlemen, plant life and small dogs, welcome back, Avery's World, episode 3. We didn't get cancelled. It's incredible. People keep wanting us even more. Anyway, new guest co-host this week. It is the one, the only, Michael Wilson. Mike, how you doing tonight, sir?
Pretty good, Avery. You can't get cancelled because you're not on a network.
Yes, I am, Mike. I'm on the Avery Sports Show channel, Mike. Don't you know? Billions listen to this show. I have 8 billion listeners. It's a true story.
8 billion, even
8
though
billion.
there are only 7 billion people on the planet.
I'm that good, Mike. Avery Sports Show has created an extra billion people in the world.
That's problematic with world food supplies.
Hey, if people start falling off of the earth, we'll put them on Neptune. Now, for those of you who may... If you know Mike, you know he did a show on Blog Talk Radio. We did a show together once called Mike and Ave, which was cancelled.
Well, like 4 episodes.
It was abandoned after 5 shows. You didn't want to talk tennis.
I'm too busy.
But here's the funny thing. For those of you...
I run a gambling ring.
Really? We're on the world, Mike. You're in this gambling ring.
Where in the world?
Yes.
Right here in Edmonton, Alberta.
Wow, that seems very controversial.
On, tortoises.
Probably kind of, wow. Is that legal?
Probably not.
I don't know. And gang, for those of you who may not know, Mike and I, our relationship goes back, wow. We used to call into Team 1260 as Avery and Little Mike, and the station basically tried to make us rivals years ago.
No, they didn't.
Yes.
You're lying. Avery, right on your own show.
I'm not lying, Mike. Don't you recall? I recall Jake Daniels, the morning show host, once won us to fight in a UFC type fight.
Oh, well, you would have beaten me then because I was like 9.
You were.
I'd beat you now.
I would beat you now, Mike. I'm stronger than you.
Fight on the podcast.
Well, that seems very impossible because you can't punch through a phone line.
I'll drive up to your upstate beach house and beat you up.
How are you gonna even get in?
Let's talk sports.
Anyway, all right, Mike. Since we'll start right here. National Lacrosse League. If you don't know lacrosse, gang, the playoff format, it's all single elimination. That, with player association approval, is going to change. The divisional round and the Champions Cup will now be a 2-game series, home and away, and if the 2 teams split the series, it goes to a 10-minute minigame to decide who moves on or wins. That is incredibly dumb, Mike.
It's really dumb. Why they did it is to make the regular season more meaningful, which has been a problem in the National Lacrosse League, as demonstrated best in the 2011 season when Rochester and Edmonton, 2 not very good teams at the time, who got on a roll and both made the Champions Cup. Rochester won their first of back-to-back titles, so they're showing a bit of consistency. But obviously a big complaint with the NLL has been that the playoffs just haven't seemed to matter. So this, making 6 teams make it in a 9-team league, definitely helps that. I'm a big fan of that. The series is a whole nother problem. Now, I always thought that would be cool, having a single elimination game. It's pretty exciting, but I was always a fan of the series, especially if lacrosse, if you can get more games, that'd be better. When I was doing another radio show just about lacrosse, I interviewed Jeff Zwicky, then of the Washington Stealth, and I asked him if he would like that idea, and he said he wouldn't. It would be too tiring, and it just wouldn't be logistical to have a 3-game series to fit in a weekend. So the NLL was like, okay, well, we'll do a 2-game series and have the tiebreaker be a 10-minute minigame. So, which is basically the dumbest thing I've ever heard, which is worse, I think, than having a shootout, have a playoff series decided in 10 minutes. Actually, no, the shootout would be worse. I take that back. But no, it's pretty bad.
It is awful. That's funny.
Yes, it's the dumbest thing ever. But the solution to that is to keep playoffs meaningful, keep it single elimination. You can do that. Or I think you can stretch it to 3 games, going Thursday, Saturday, Sunday, or Thursday, Friday, Sunday, right? Some sort of Thursday game in there to keep it not having 3 games in 3 nights, but 3 games in 4 nights, which I think will be, it's incredibly difficult, especially if you're going to the finals and you make it all the way there. I think that would be really tough, and it's not a perfect idea, but I still think it's better than that because you're going to have to end up playing 3 games, well, a 10-minute minigame. You'll end up playing 3 games anyways. Might as well add the extra 15 minutes kind of thing. So I don't think that's the best idea. I still think the best idea would just keeping single elimination games. I believe the National Lacrosse League is including Thursday games in their schedule and lengthening it one game. I know that for sure. I'm not sure about the Thursday games.
Okay.
But I think that would end up being a big improvement for sure. Also, you didn't mention the Minnesota Swarm will be moving to the East.
That's correct. Yes, they're now an Eastern team with the making things more interesting in the divisions now. But what I noticed from this format, Mike, George Daniel, he said that professional soccer used the format before. What he didn't mention is that when pro soccer in America used that, it was ridiculous. It was ridiculed also. It was considered laughable back then too. So why would you try and adopt a rule that was from a league that failed? I was laughed at also. I mean, it doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't. And another way you could go through it, just when you brought up soccer there, I think doing aggregate scoring is still a better idea than the 10-minute mini game. Just saying, you know what, you scored most goals in this game. Whoever scored the most goals in the series at that point would win, right?
That's funny because knowing you,
if you let's say the team A beats team B 18-14, and then team B beats team A 11-10, team A would still win the series because they ended up scoring more goals.
It's true.
They had a bigger margin of victory.
Exactly, teammate. And it's funny because you say that because I know when I told you about the aggregate score rule in soccer, you said you hated that. The fact that you prefer that says a lot about how this new 10-minute minigame is so ridiculous.
And I've actually warmed up to the idea, and especially in a situation like the NLL where it's not really easy to play three-game series.
No.
Because you don't have the weekday, because most of the players are not pure professional lacrosse players, but it's more of a weekend league. You know, you get the exceptions, you get the Ravens, you get the Males, who all they do is play lacrosse. They do it in multiple leagues. They get sponsorship deals, but that's just not logistical. So,
no.
Aggregate scoring would be better. I still think the best idea would be to just have single-game elimination like they always have.
It should. You mentioned how quite a few teams, they share arena space with NBA teams, NHL teams. It wouldn't really be easy to have a game on, say, a Monday or Tuesday night.
Well, exactly. And, yeah, I guess the whole thing, it's just, you can't really do weekday games. And I think it was part of the survey they did, they were asking fans if they would attend more games, and they ended up adding 2 more onto the schedule. So that means one more home game for the fans. And I voted yes to, like, every time they're like, would you see this many games? I was like, yes. And I kept voting. And I said, would you see a game on, like, a Tuesday or a Wednesday? I was like, probably not. I mean, I would, but it's not ideal.
No, it's not ideal. But I mean, you know what, though? I'll admit, the National Cross League, I'll give them the credit. They're trying to improve. Because on your tier of sports, on the sports tier, North American sports, the National Cross League, to be quite honest, is probably the 7th or 8th most popular sport, or even like the 10th, compared to even pro bowling and NASCAR in certain regions.
Well, you know, you got NASCAR, you got the Big Four, you got golf, you got MLS, you got quite a bit over the NLL, which has had its struggles over, I think, 28 years now.
It's about 20 years now.
Yeah, so a lot of people saying, certain bloggers have saying, you know, if the end is near with the NLL, it's all collapsing. But I think if they can last this long with all the hardships they've taken, they'll keep going. I just think it's not going to get better anytime soon. Another guy I interviewed on the old lacrosse show I post was John Tavares, legend in the NLL, and we asked him if he thought the league would be improving, like the league can reach top professional levels, like Big Four levels. And he said, you know what, in the 90s when we were playing early 2000s, we thought, you know what, this can grow. The decisions made, the growth of the game over the last 10 years, he doesn't see it happening anymore. So he's basically said he gave up. Actually, that was a great interview because the quote was stolen by IL Indoor. Didn't give credit. They just said, an online radio show talked to John Tavares, not mentioning, you know, those who asked the question.
No Mike Wilson mentioned at all.
Nope.
That's unfortunate. You mentioned Tavares, and you mentioned guys who play pro and play all year round. John Tavares has been playing pro for his 24th year now, and he's still a teacher in a school in Ontario. He's not even a full-time player either at 44 years old.
Oh, no, and he still sees himself as a teacher first. The New York Times read an article on him, and it's just amazing how a whole bunch of kids in his class don't know he's one of the best lacrosse players of all time.
No.
Like, it's ridiculous.
It is. I mean, like...
The all-time top leading scorer in the NRL. and they don't know. Like, that's ridiculous.
And the thing is, too, it's not like he's teaching in a school that doesn't as not a lacrosse hotbed. Ontario is a lacrosse place, and no one knows in his school.
It's ridiculous.
That makes
You know what? That's the NLL for you.
it is. But you mentioned how their growth. When I first started watching lacrosse back in around 1999, 2000, they had a TV deal every week, not tape delayed. Toronto Rock deals, Sportsnet, TSN. They were showing it everywhere. That's why I knew about Toronto Rock and pro lacrosse. They had growth, but now it's just overexpansion. Their NBC deal with show the All-Star game went belly up, and it's just been downhill ever since.
And that's when I started coming in. So yeah, it hasn't been great. Obviously, the only games you've seen on TV, the Rush still had a bit on Shaw TV. Quality wasn't great. Those no longer exist because it wasn't viable. They couldn't get the ad space, not enough people watched, etc., etc. Toronto Rock has been shown on TSN2 over the last couple of years, and Sportsnet has been last year showing the Battle of Alberta games. So it's something, but obviously I'd like to see more games. NLL Network on YouTube, the Lacrosse Network now taking over the games, has been great. The streams are way better than they were on live stream. They don't crash. Some of it's good quality. Washington's wasn't actually. They were the worst, but they had their announcer problems, and the quality of the video was just horrendous. Minnesota has great video. They take it from Jake Elliott. I'm actually excited for the Vancouver stuff playing in Langley, because Langley event has fantastic streams. So that'd be good. So the streams have been up and down if you want to watch the games. I mean, it's free, so if you have a computer, you got a good internet connection.
Yes.
You can watch all the games for free and on demand. So I like that. As far as spreading the game on national television, it obviously doesn't achieve that, but for lacrosse fans that want to see all the games, you can for free. So I've always been a huge advocate of what used to be the NLL network, and now it's on the Lacrosse Network, which also does NLL games, NCAA games, etc., etc. They do it a lot, so shout out to those guys too.
No, they do a lot. You mentioned how the games are on TSN, TSN2. What I think they really need to do is stop showing tape delayed games. So to get back to where it was, show all the games live. That's my thoughts on that.
Oh, did they show tape delay games
last year? Yeah, there was some tape delayed games last year. We can get scores and updates by the second. Tape delayed sports doesn't work anymore.
Oh, no, it doesn't. And I know Minnesota actually does have some tape delays, but I didn't know TSN was doing it. I know they used to show the games live at like 5 o'clock Mountain when they happen, and then show them again at 11 because they got to fill programming. But I didn't know they were just showing them tape delayed.
Yeah, no, there was a game again. I think it was a game we went to. It was a Toronto-Edmonton game that TSN broadcast, and it didn't air on TSN until around midnight, and it was fully tape delayed. It's like, wow, this is not helping the league at all.
No, see, and the people who want to watch that game online live can't because it's on TSN, and there's regional blackouts. Like, if I think we had a problem with the stream was in the States, you couldn't get the stream of your game if it was on the CBS Sports Network, and you didn't get CBS Sports Network, you couldn't do it. And it was the NLL Championship game, and that's why I had the problem, because the CBS Sports Network is available with some packages in the Toronto area,
right?
Just not in Alberta, so we don't have it. But because it is available to some customers, we couldn't get the stream for it.
And to me, what was very strange about that is because another sport that's basically a TV rival is arena football, and they're also on CBS Network. And the Arena Bowl was on the main CBS channel. My question was, why wasn't the game of Rochester-Edmonton put on the main CBS Network on that Saturday? I don't get that.
I don't know. I expected it to. I invited friends over to be like, yeah, let's watch the game. And then we ended up having to plug into the stream and experience that heartbreak.
Yeah.
But, right, no. For the Champions Cup, they did make it so if you were in Edmonton, you could see the game. But if you were in Calgary and say you wanted to watch the Edmonton Rochester Champions Cup final, you were SOL.
Yes, you are. You were very SOL in that. I'm shocked you didn't swear and actually say the full word.
Do you want me to?
It'll get censored out. It'll get beeped anyway. It'll get deleted out anyway.
So what if I just randomly in the middle of a very well-answered question just start dropping bombs? You have to just go edit it. Will you bleep it, or will you just cut out the answer?
If the answer is so affected by your swearing, I just delete the whole thing.
See, you should. Are you going to cut this conversation about swearing out?
No, well, you didn't swear, so it's fine. That'll get edited out. Anyway, sir, like I said, Mr. Mike, the Edmonton Eskimos, 1-7. I know it. This team 1-7. They're in a complete free fall. And now they have Labor
How
Day.
did you have that sound effect queued up?
What was that?
You didn't edit that sound effect and you just have it on YouTube and decided to play it?
No, that wasn't YouTube. That was from one of Avery's magical sound machines.
Oh.
Yes.
Your butt?
If my butt could do that, I would make billions.
How do you make billions? What kind of business model? Where I used to make literally billions of dollars on a whistling butt.
Hey, people would eat that stuff up, man. Go on YouTube,
That's
go on.
true.
We're going on a funny road here. Anyway, I'm the Eskimos, Mike. They're 1-7, and we have Labor Day in Calgary. I mean, Edmonton in 2 weeks could be at 1-9.
They probably will be. Let's be honest. They've had 4 games that's really close, and there's just one defining moment where they blow it. Like last week in Saskatchewan, they didn't get the call when Riley got hit. Boo-hoo, the CFO refs are terrible. It happens literally every game. And that could have happened in the first quarter. No one would have gave a damn. So, really, you got to blame it at that part where it's 27-25. They're on the 1-yard line. They say, Kerry Joseph, hand off the ball. Of course he fumbles it. Like, every time Kerry Joseph steps on the field, I just want to... And then he fumbles it. I'm like, oh my goodness. So then they put in Riley, and they're like, you know what? We're on the 1. We could give it to our great running back and run it in. Or we can run shotgun and then throw it, which got picked off, and that's the game. They also decided to run shotgun on the 1 with 3 seconds left, trailing against Montreal, where they could have won the game when they didn't have a timeout because Cavis wasted it, challenging a rouge that they scored for them, talking about field position. It's just one blunder after another with the coaching staff. And I really like Cavis Reed and his consequences, man. But everything pretty much is on him at this point. I got to say, there's been some questionable calls. I've listened to interviews with him, Kerry Joseph, asking about that play last week. Kerry Joseph said it was a handoff, and Cavis said it was a run. So you either have miscommunication on the field, which is really bad as well, or you have two sides saying different things trying to cover their butts, which isn't great either. Basically, every stance of this is bad. And the offense is doing really well. The defense has allowed 30 points in the last 4 games. They've been horrendous. Missing J.C. Sherritt doesn't help, but throughout the year, the defense has been horrendous, which was their strong point last year.
It was.
So I'm very confused about how that switched around. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I know it's very strange.
It's not going to go well. I don't think they're going to win in Calgary on Monday. They might back in Edmonton just because they got the home crowd. They have to win eventually.
No, they will.
I would think.
I mean, you have back-to-back games against Winnipeg coming up very soon. I mean, those should be wins,
Well, there
you
you go.
think. But you know, it's
If
funny.
there's one team that we can say has it worse,
It's the Winnipeg Blue
it's
Bombers.
Winnipeg, even though I think they've won 2.
No, Winnipeg is 1-7 also.
Oh, okay. See, they're just as bad. I think they're worse. So
CFL right now, this is a league where league history has had teams make the playoffs at 4-14. So I mean, if Montreal,
it's not happening. Avery, give up the dream.
you never know. Wait, BC started the
You
year.
have to have either Hamilton or Toronto or Montreal, like a team in the East to just free fall. I don't think Toronto's going to be that bad off.
Not
without
Montreal,
hanging
no.
out 6 weeks now. They could fall. Montreal hasn't been good, but I don't think they're that bad. And the Tiger Cat
3-5.
division actually hasn't been good. Toronto's been good, but without Ricky, it could get bad. But I still don't think the Eskimos are going to turn it around. They're going to go probably 2-8, 1-9. The season's a write-off at this point. I gotta say, it's been rough.
But like I said though, this is a league where, remember, 2011 BC started the year 0-7 and won the Grey Cup. I'm not saying Edmonton's gonna win the Grey Cup this year, but this is a league where you cannot write off a team 1-7 just because how the league works.
All right, well, you know what? Next week's a big breaker because if they're 1-9, it's over.
If they're 1-9, yeah, then that's it. I mean, 1-7.
I mean, if they come out and they're 3-7,
they have a shot.
That's something, especially against the Stamps.
And you talk about Cavis Reed, Mike. I think Ed Hervey will show faith in Cavis Reed for the time being.
I know he'll be around for the rest of this year because there's no point taking your terrible defensive coach, Marshall, at this point and making him your head coach. That's not an improvement. And Doug Sams, I don't think he has enough experience to become a head coach. So there's not really anyone good you can replace him with right now in the middle of the season. If you're going to replace him, that's been the off-season. But it's been heartbreaking because I'm a big Cavis fan. But he just keeps making terrible decisions. Like last year even too, Nichols should have been getting all the snaps that
he should have been.
Terry Joseph had. Like Oh, I don't like Kerry Joseph at all, and it's not because of him. I don't hate him as a person.
He's a great guy.
I hate that he keeps he keeps giving opportunities when he shouldn't, and then he still doesn't do anything with them, and he keeps getting opportunities. Let it rest.
It's funny because you know what? With the play where Kerry fumbled against Saskatchewan, you have your hot quarterback in Mike Riley. Why not put him out there?
He rushed him down the field. Like, if you're going to hand it off, why not have Mike Riley hand it off to the running back? I get if you're on the one and you're just going to do a quarterback sneak and get it in. That's fine. Put Kerry Joseph. The management of the quarterbacks in the last 2 years for the Wolves has been horrendous. Probably been their downfall. I got to say, last year the offense was terrible. I mean, Mike Riley's showing he can play now.
Yes.
The 511 yards against Toronto. This is his team. Anyone who questions it is just take him out of the game for any reason at that point other than like a 1 yard QB dive to keep him safe. Like, you want to keep him in these situations. Let him learn. Haven't been giving you opportunities. No, like when you were at training camp and you told me Kerry Joseph's still here.
This team's in a very odd spot, and you know what? They're still recovering from the Eric Tillman mistake, because if Tillman never became the GM, Ricky Ray is still here in Edmonton, is he not?
Oh, for sure. And I think I'll say this: everything Eric Tillman did, I liked, except for the Ricky Ray trade, which negates everything he's ever done in his entire career. And it's just, I think it's the single worst trade of all time. Have you ever heard of a trade worse?
There's been quite a few in football, in CFL history, but I would say that is the worst in Eskimos history by far.
100%. You're taking an all-star, one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Right now, he is the best in the league, with AC not up to snuff. And you traded him for a kicker who's no longer a field goal kicker, and a first-round pick, which I think they blew, and a bucket of balls.
And a bucket of balls.
Yeah, and Steven Giles, the guy who was their third-string quarterback before, who was really bad, as we all thought he would be.
It's true, but you know what?
He was like, Ricky Ray is on his downslope. We'll get what we can, and then he goes and wins the freaking Grey Cup. On
a game I attended and covered, and I had Ricky Foley spray champagne in my eyes. That burns.
Wear goggles.
I didn't have goggles on. I didn't have goggles. Literally, Mike, I was in the locker room when they won, and one of the Argonauts media guys pushed me in front. He put me in front of all the other reporters and said, "Get in there." I was taking video and fully sprayed champagne right in my eye.
Well, see, you were pushed to the front because you're the shortest.
Yes. No, I am the shortest among all the media though. Either way, it was quite fun, and I stunk like champagne for the next 5 hours.
Honey.
No, that was there was a lot of things I saw that night I can't say, but I understand what you see, Mike. But you know what, Mike? What if I'm not saying what would happen, but what if Ricky Ray went to Toronto and Chad Owens came back to Edmonton? How would you feel about that? Ask Josh this question, and Josh said it would be nice, but it wouldn't equal Ricky Ray. What would you feel about that?
For sure it would. He's the most outstanding player. You had Fred Stamps and Chad Owens. With Mike Riley, it's really hard to stop this offense. Like, seriously, I think that's fair for sure. But I don't think Toronto would make that deal because I think he's more important than Ricky Ray is. That's hard to say because Ricky Ray's so good, but he does everything.
It's true, because
Chad was the MLP for a reason. I think he's outstanding against Edmonton. Right? He'll take a pass in the flats and run it himself for 12 yards.
It's true.
It's ridiculous. Ricky Ray can just get him the ball, and that's great. If you have a guy that can get Chad Owens the ball, it's the quarterback's job is easier. And when you have a guy like Fred Stamps who's really helping out Mike Riley, even though he's making great throws, you got to give props to Fred Stamps, who's also having a phenomenal year. And Chad Owens, that's more than enough, I think.
Absolutely, because if you had, going into this year, Chad Owens, Fred Stamps, Kerry Koch, Nate Kuhorn, that is a stacked receiving core in Edmonton.
Oh, for sure.
It is, But you know what, Mike? We don't have a time machine, so we'll never know what that could have been like.
Nope. If we had a time machine and could affect the past, let's all agree that we would go to the 2006 Game 7 and put Fernando's stick on the ice.
Yeah.
Where that goal.
Mike, when I saw that picture come out of Fernando Pizzani's stick up by his shoulders and the puck going by him, I almost cried. If If that goes in, that game's tied. And if that game goes to overtime, Edmonton probably wins.
Oh, probably. They have all the momentum at that point, but guess we'll never know.
No, we'll never. I honestly, I thought about it. I know we're not gonna talk about this for too long, but I wonder how would the NHL have been like if Edmonton won and became the first Canadian team to win a cup in about 14 years. What would have changed in hockey in the NHL?
Probably wouldn't be different. Pretty much everything would be the same, except the Oilers wouldn't have been bad quite as quickly.
Probably might have stayed for all we know. Like, things may have changed. Or maybe not. Maybe he would have left all the same. But, yeah, no. This team would not have gone downhill as fast as it would have if they won the cup in 05-06.
No, yeah, I think you would have had more players stick around.
Yeah, no, I mean, they could have been a playoff team for a while. But, hey, we'll see if 2013, 2014 is that year. I think it will be that year. I think they're a team that can get one of the... Because, remember, it's a new playoff format now in the NHL. I think they could have a shot being one of those teams in the Pacific to get into the playoffs. There's a team, I saw Dave Lozo on the score. He ranked this team 11th in the entire NHL. Not entirely impossible.
Shocked. I was predicting outrage, but wow, no, he definitely ranked them a lot higher than I am. I picked them to make the playoffs last year, but you know what? They were full of flaws. Dallas Aikens will make a huge difference on this team. I don't think... You know, Dave Rosa was saying that Justin Schultz will get a lot better, and adding Andrew Ferentz will make the defense better, and they'll score a lot of goals. Having Ryan Nugent-Hopkins back, when he does get back, will be great. I think Yak could light it up. Taylor Hall is the best left wing in the NHL.
Yeah.
Don't let anybody fool. He could have a hard-quality season, this one or the next. Things could go right for the Oilers. And Jordan Eberle, when we talked about regression in the year before, when people were saying, oh, he'll do this all the time, and I was going, he probably won't get all the bounces. Last year, he didn't get the bounces. So I said I'd see him getting in between last year and the year before. So I said about 65 points from Jordan Eberle is what I expect, and that's pretty good, if you ask me. I don't think he's going to be a 95 point player. The people who think he's better than Taylor Hall are out of their minds. It could be a good year for the Oilers. It could be like every other year.
No.
I'm tired. I'm really out of optimism at this point, where I think they should make the playoffs, and it's a playoff or bust year.
And it's
last year was just a hopeful, but I really can't put too much stock into it and be too optimistic and too sure of saying that with how bad they have been since that cup run. They've been the worst team in the league since the first lockout. I can't really put a lot of confidence into a statement that they're going to make the playoffs because they could totally Oiler it up. They could have Yak, they could have Schultz, they could have everyone get injured, which has happened before. They could have Toby Peterson playing defense.
I recall that.
So,
no, you know, it could happen, but this is a team this is a year where I think if you're Daryl Cates and this team misses the playoffs again, you have to clean house of everyone except McTavish and Dallas Eakins. Do you not agree in that sense?
Well, yeah, because I think the front office is really bad, and they should have cleaned house anyways. But, yeah, for sure, I definitely agree.
No, it's true. I mean, Kevin Lowe, you know, Jason Strudwick and I were talking about this a few months ago.
Needs to be out.
What?
They all need to be out.
No, because Jason and Strudwick and I were talking about this. We were talking about this one night after his show. I was saying to Jason how any other team in the league, I know I respect Kevin Lowe a lot. I met him before. I've talked to Kevin Lowe many times, and a very nice guy, but if this was Detroit, Carolina, Dallas, Toronto, Boston, he's gone. He's not lasting this many years in the front office.
No, and it's the old boys club, and people are saying that with McTavish, but I think McTavish has done a decent job. I would have liked to see him bring in a guy like Grabowski. Like, could you imagine a third line of Hemsky, Omar, Grabowski? Oh.
It'll be interesting.
Oh.
Now, Mike, are you...
Still good. He didn't sign Tom Gilbert. Instead, he decided to go out and sign Dennis Grebishkov. Gilbert's still out there.
Yes, he is.
Like, I don't get some of his moves, but anything's better than Tambo, I guess.
It is. I mean, Steve Tambellini, some of the moves he made were just, you want to shake your head. But now Kerry Tavish, he's a guy, and Tambellini was I felt he's very yes man. Kerry Tavish is not going to just listen to what Lowe and Kate say and just obey it. He's not the kind of guy, which I think Kerry Tavish could make to be a very fantastic general manager. Before we let this thing end, we'll talk a little NFL, sir. I know you're...
Oh, I wanted to be outraged about Taylor Hall not making Team Canada if it happens.
Hang on, if we are months away. We are months away from the rosters fully being announced.
Okay, we won't make it a conversation. But if Chris Kunitz makes the team and Taylor Hall, who I will say again, best left wing in the NHL doesn't, there is something wrong. All right, let's go to the NFL.
Hang on, Mike, don't you know? I said earlier, don't you know the best left winger according to the hockey writers is Alex Ovechkin and right winger too. Uh,
Oops,
Hawk.
I said a swear again.
What?
No, nothing. If you didn't hear it, it's fine.
The NFL, I know, Mike, you're an Indianapolis Colts fan, and last year, the Colts were bringing the biggest shocker of the NFL season. I called them to be, I went on the air and said the Colts would be a 2-14 team. They end up
I
making the
said they'd have 3
playoff.
wins, so...
You said 3 wins, and they end up being almost a 12-win team. No, who saw that coming?
Jim Irsay.
Who?
Jim Irsay.
Yeah, the only guy on this team would not be garbage. Andrew Luck played a heck of a year, and of course the Chuck Pagano, Bruce Arians thing. Arians probably had the greatest year for an intern coach in league history. Good job on him leading his team. And Reggie Wayne having a renaissance year at wide receiver. The Colts once again.
Yeah, Reggie Wayne. Let's be honest. It was Reggie Wayne who carried this team last year.
It was. I mean, and then you saw so many guys emerge. Like not many guys knew about T.Y. Hilton, and look at what he did.
Oh no, he did great too. I was definitely very ecstatic for how the Colts did. I was like, they're not going to make the playoffs. They're going to be pretty bad, and they made the playoffs. So I was very happy with that. Now that just means there's expectations for that to keep going, which I don't know if they can replicate.
Well, let's see. They maybe won't be an 11-win team again. I think they'll be in the playoff hunt once again, because the AFC I think is a very strange conference this year. I really don't know who's going to be emerge and be a contender. Baltimore may not be that because they lost everybody, including the water boy, in the offseason.
Yeah, I don't think Baltimore's going to be that good. I think New England's still going to be good. Or Houston will be good. So Pittsburgh is always pretty good. I think the Colts will definitely sneak in like a wild card. I don't think they'll challenge Houston for the division, as Josh told me he thinks they will. But I'm not that optimistic.
No.
I'm saying a lot of not optimistic things and saying the Eskimos could get swept and saying, oh, this might not make the playoffs. Colts won't win the division. I'm a very negative guy tonight.
You are a very negative guy. I don't know why.
I like to stay unrealistic. Then
you're just negative. You're negative Nancy.
The Oilers always have a shot at the cup.
Oh, they do. But Mike, jeez, you're funny, Mike. Can we just give the AFC West to the Broncos right now?
Oh yeah, you called me out not saying the Broncos.
Yeah. Yes.
You figured me out.
I did figure it out. Like, don't you?
Because I'm sour about Peyton Manning leaving.
Oh, why are you mad, Mike? Why you sound like?
I'm not mad at Peyton. I'm mad at Jim Irsay for kicking him out. And then they had the Painter year.
Yeah, the Painter.
Well, they had the Painter year when he was hurt, and then they were like, you know what? Let's just draft Andy Luck and.
Oh,
Peyton goes on to be the best quarterback in the league, and I think personally, my idea was give Peyton one more year and have Luck learn under him, and I think that would have been great.
Probably
Luck did very well without Peyton, so I kind of, I guess, ate my words, but I still think it would have been a good idea. I stand by that, and yeah.
But Mike, you forgot. Jim Irsay. Hi, Kerry Collins. I know you were tired. Want to come play one more year?
I remember Jim Irsay after the Peyton Manning conference announcing his release and exiting the stage to make out with Andrew Luck.
Wow. Where's that line from, Michael?
It's a Sports Pickle tweet, actually.
I was going to see the Onion. That was a very Onion-like comment. But
that was pretty good, though.
But that year of Curtis Painter, and Dan Orlovsky, too. Curtis Painter, Kerry Collins, and Dan Orlovsky. Maybe the most pathetic trio to lead an NFL team in league history.
Mark Sanchez and Tim Tebow were a thing, remember?
That to me last year was just a dumb... I said to Josh, the New York Jets didn't need Tim Tebow. To do what? It made no sense.
To add to the Jets hype machine, really?
Like I said...
That was the answer. John Boyce wrote, and he had the statistics in quarterback rating, over starters that had an era which is defined as being the starting quarterback for a football team for 4 straight years. In the history of the NFL, he is the worst era.
And there have been a lot of... There have been a lot of bad quarterbacks in NFL history, so that says something.
Well, yeah, there's been a lot of bad quarterbacks, but not bad quarterbacks that have lasted like Mark Sanchez. No. Speaking of which, my fantasy draft a couple of nights ago, I got Mark Sanchez and Aaron Hernandez.
Wow. Because you're ruining... But is this when you were ruining mock drafts, or was it your serious draft?
It was a serious draft. I wasn't there to pick. I put on an auto pick, and I just told the commission to make sure I got those picks. It's pretty good. we were ruining mock drafts again. Last night, making those dumb picks, people got mad. I first saw this Mr. Twitter user at Boring as Heck, Stefan, was doing it, and it was just hilarious, so I decided I'd give it a go myself. You took part.
Yes, I did.
And, it was a good old time.
Yes, you did.
Football Nerds draft.
I tweeted out mine. You saw my tweet. My team name was Mr. Ruin Your Draft.
Did people get mad?
I screen capped the reaction.
I haven't seen it.
No, you should go on my Twitter, and I think my first pick in my ruining mock draft was Mr. Dante Culpepper. It was Dante Culpepper.
He was out of Randy Moss.
Who did I take? Culpepper and
Justin Metlock.
Justin, yes.
Justin. Or Beastot, Culpepper. Shirk is ruining the mock.
And you see the medley, and if you see the Randy, Mr. Ruin Your Draft right there.
I'm looking at the Buffalo Bills playbook now.
Yeah, the Buffalo Bills is a team where E.J. Manuel hurt, Kevin Kolb hurt. Can the city of Buffalo not get any good news ever?
Matt Leonard.
Can the city of is Buffalo doomed to just get horrible news every year? I mean, I saw in Deadspin, someone on their Wired Team Sucks series said that the Buffalo Bills need to stop having sex with Toronto every year.
It's true.
Because literally,
no one in Toronto likes the Bills. Stop trying.
Because you know what? The fans, I was told, I probably will go to the Bills game this year. I was told by NFL people, don't go see an NFL game in Toronto. The environment sucks.
Yeah, people don't even like the Argos there, and they just want the Grey Cup.
No.
Toronto's a bad football city.
I didn't get it because when I was there for the Grey Cup, Mike, the place was deafening. It was loud.
Because it was the Grey Cup, and everyone there was hammered, and most of them were Argos fans.
No, you know what got the loudest amount of noise at that Grey Cup, Mike? Justin Bieber performance. It was literally, this is maybe the most random situation ever, Mike. I'm watching Bieber performance and trying to have a conversation with Sean Majunder from the start of 22 minutes.
It was kind of ridiculous.
No, I know that whole situation, right? That whole thing is. Let's just say Bieber is hated in America and in Canada. He's hated at home and abroad.
I'm not a fan of his music, but it's not meant for my demographic, so I will not, as an almost adult, whining about his music.
No, you are not a 14-year-old girl.
Yeah, it's not meant for me. So if it's not meant for you, don't be like, oh, Justin Bieber's a girl, because that's a dumb joke, and you're a grown man. Shut up.
So right. Who is Miley Cyrus meant for then?
All right, this is not. This is not a top 40 morning to do. I did not come here to talk about Miley Cyrus.
Hey, dude, hey, I bet you watch it. I bet you watch.
Hot, but also her ass was hanging out of her shorts and it was weird. I know people don't care, and the people who respect that, I guess that's all right. I don't want to have an opinion on it because I think it's kind of gross. But
you know what's funny, Mike? Don't take a picture of Miley Cyrus's backside and put it beside a piece of chicken and said this chicken has more booty than Miley Cyrus.
To each their own, but in some sense, it was just weird. It was just not good television. I'm gonna say.
I had no problem with it.
I guess she can do whatever she wants, but I was just not a fan of it. I guess it looked weird. It's really perverted.
I respect her for what she's trying to do because she doesn't want to be known as a Disney character for the rest of her life.
Yeah, exactly. I respect that. But also, if you started this show, but, I'm not going to make that joke because you're just going to edit it out anyways.
What joke?
I'll
probably beat that out.
People would be like, oh, you know what, Avry didn't want to be seen as that 14-year-old sportscaster anymore. Now he's on his show.
Wow. Okay, then. That didn't even relate to... Wow.
I don't know. I have an actual opinion on this because I really don't care. But I guess I've said enough.
Mike, before
ending the show. The show's over.
Yeah. Before I let you go, Mike, I'll let you plug all of your properties. Plug your Twitter, plug your face, plug your nose, whatever else you want to plug.
You can follow me on Twitter at Mike Wilson, MyQWILSON. You can also follow my lacrosse tweets, as well as Avery's lacrosse tweets, at NLL Blog. And there's an NLLblog.com where we used to write about lacrosse.
Yes.
And hopefully I will. Whenever I find the time, I tried to yesterday about the playoff stuff, but I work 2 jobs, so it's not always easy. So I basically said a lot of my opinions on this podcast. I guess you wouldn't read it anyways. But go there. Maybe I'll post something there. Follow me, the Twitter account for sure, because I still say stuff on there. Maybe not the website. And I keep getting a lot of followers a lot being like 300, which is not a lot. But I have a feeling they're expecting something.
They are expecting something.
Eventually, but I haven't given it to
No.
them. Maybe I'll just stick with this so they don't figure out I'm a fraud. But maybe they also read the old articles.
Did you say figure out how to fraud?
No, that I'm a fraud.
Oh, I see. Yeah, you are kind of phony. Anyway, Mike. I want to thank you, Mike. And of course, Mike Wilson. It's on Twitter. It's MYQ because Mike is a weird kid. MYQ.
Well, you know what? It's a really common name, so it's hard to get Twitter user at Mike Wilson spelled right. So I had fun with phonics, and then was a huge loser, and also signed a lot of my homework assignments with that in high school.
You know what you should do, Mike?
I thought I'm new and creative, and you know what? I don't do it anymore. I still do it on Twitter, because I still think it's cool. Now you know a lot about me that you shouldn't.
Hey, Mike, when I was in school, I used to write Dr. Avry Louis McDougall on some of my assignments in school.
I have a shopper's optimum card where it says Dr. Mike Wilson.
Really? How'd you get that done?
They don't ask. I just said, yeah, put doctor. Yeah, it's like, cool. You don't need proof. You just sign this, like, Mr., Mrs., Miss Doctor. So I just check doctor, and that's what it says on my card. You don't need to actually be a doctor.
I want to see this card one day, Mike.
Well, it doesn't say it on the card, but if you scan it, it does.
Oh, that's no fun. I can't see it.
It's registered under Dr. Michael Wilson.
It's Michael.
It's very professional.
Yes, it is, Mr. Mike. And anyway, that's all the time we have now for Avery's World. Until next week, Slovenia. Have a nice rest. Bye.